This is the Big Deal Podcast, brought to you and powered by New Covenant Baptist Church in Albertville, Alabama. And on this podcast, we're asking the question, what's the big deal about all things Bible, theology, and culture? I'm Justin.
I'm Brad.
Welcome to the Big Deal. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man.
It's been a while, man. It's been a minute.
No, we've been releasing a podcast
every week.
We've
been here. In truth, everyone, Brad has abandoned me for the last month.
It was 2 weeks.
It feels like a month. It feels like 2 months. It's been 80 years. You know that meme? Yeah.
Titanic.
Yeah, the Titanic meme. That's how it's felt. It's been so lonely up here. I've been just up here crying every day because missing my buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you talk about that Titanic thing. That bugs me.
Which
actually. One? That woman.
Oh, why?
Well, she had a multi-gazillion-dollar necklace that she kept her whole life that she never did anything with.
Oh, yeah.
And then this guy invites her on this trip out to the ocean. And they go there, and the entire point of that trip was to be nice to her, but also to look for that piece of jewelry. And she had it in her pocket the whole time. And then she just throws it in the water.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
And then she dies. And like she was with Jack for like 3 days. But the backstory says she was married to this dude for like 30 years and had kids.
Jack?
No, Jack died.
Okay.
Then she got a husband.
Oh.
And she had children and raised a family.
And she's still pining after this guy?
Yeah, and she dies and goes to be with Jack.
Oh my gosh.
She's a weirdo, man.
Yeah,
Plus, she let
she's
him
messed
die
up.
on the door.
Yeah, I'm like, I think y'all both could have, managed getting up.
What? It's such a weird thing when you think about it. But at the moment, like they manipulate you and think, how romantic. And you're sitting there going, wait, what about her husband? This was
that's
a
a weird-
3-day fling.
It's a weird movie, honestly.
When she had a fiance, she's not a great person.
No. Old lady, you're the worst.
The worst old lady.
Yeah. Well, how's the army doing? We doing okay?
We're doing good. We had a big time.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was
Everyone
not
being
fun.
brave and stuff. And
Yeah, it was brave.
are the warriors staying warrior-y?
Yeah, I'm at this place now where it's the higher up you go, the more you start being in places like headquarters. Like they got a thing called
guys. Brad's a big deal.
I'm not
He's
a big
really
deal.
big
I'm not a big deal. But like
he goes to headquarters.
no, it's like they got this place. Okay, it's called a Joint Operations Center or whatever. And you watch TV screens, man, of other people doing cool stuff because they're in charge of what's happening, and they're gathering intelligence and doing stuff and figuring out where the bad guys are, and then they send out other people to go get them, and we just watch. And
That's your army? You just watch?
I watch.
Okay.
And I go, uh-oh. But like in a real scenario, there would be people all over, and
So y'all are like learning or something, training or something.
Yeah, I'm trying to explain this, and I'm doing terribly. So the commander, he has to be like, you get some information. There's some bad guys in a warehouse over here, and they're doing this bad stuff. Okay. So you send in a team to take out those bad guys. And that's the intelligence is working together with the people. It's got to get them there with the people who write up how the operation is supposed to go. Make sure that you have medical evacuation ready. Make sure you have all these things in place so that when those folks do the job, if things go south or even if things go well, because then afterwards you got to gather intelligence. What do they have with them? Do we have any POWs or people to interrogate? Do people that we sent got hurt? Yeah. Was there stuff there you weren't expecting? So it's very complicated to do one thing.
Okay.
And so up at the top, what they're practicing in is communications between one another, actioning intelligence, making sure you're not letting stuff fall through the cracks, and then if somebody gets hurt, getting them out of there. Can you get them out of there? Were there more people there than you thought? Can you get a helicopter in there? If not, can you evacuate them by the ground? That kind of stuff.
That's how the army works.
What happens when people die? What do you do with those bodies?
Oh, yeah. That's kind of...
Yeah, and especially in something where it's a large-scale combat situation.
There's so many logistics involved, isn't it?
It is. War is logistics.
It's all logistic,
It's
isn't
a
it?
fact.
Yeah.
You got to feed them. You got to get them places. You got to get them back places. part of my job is I would be in something called a battlefield rotation, where I go between people who are on the line having to fight, lose people, and administering spiritual care and counseling.
Yeah.
And
if y'all didn't know, most people know this who listen to podcasts, but if you didn't know, Brad is a chaplain.
Yes.
In our armed forces.
So the principles of the chaplaincy are to nurture the living, to care for the wounded, and to honor the fallen. So my job in the midst of all that is to nurture the living through spiritual care. People on the lines, when people are wounded, they have places called casualty points where you go, and you go where people are injured. And, you be with folks who are hurt. And then when people are killed, you make sure that the remains are treated with honor, get where they're supposed to go. In small combat, you do things like called ramp ceremonies. You may have seen them put the caskets on the planes, make sure they get where they go, make sure they have an escort. Large-scale combat, if there's hundreds of casualties and you don't have anywhere to put them, you have to do like hasty burials and stuff. And there's a mortuary affairs, and those places have to be marked because we go back and get them.
Oh yeah.
When the war's over. So it is basically, when you get to this place, a organizational, like they're throwing scenarios at you, one on top of another, to stress you to see how you respond to that. And so that's where it is. But when you're like down on the other level, you're just sitting there with the radio, and it's like, okay, this is your coordinates. This is where you're going to go. This is what we're going to do. This is what time you need to be there. Stay in contact. Check in at all these checkpoints so we can check on your progress, make sure you're not getting ambushed or anything on the way. And then we watch them with drones and satellites. It's pretty spooky.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah. So that was what I did.
Brad's been doing that. And
was
he ain't been
boring?
here.
You think everybody just fell asleep?
Yeah, a little bit.
Probably.
It was kind of boring. We're glad you like to do it, and we're glad it's being done.
But, I don't like that much because it's mostly just paperwork.
Oh, it sounds very boring.
It is.
Yeah, the Army is boring. That's what I've taken away. Well, your Army is boring. Some of the other guys I know, Army's like doesn't sound boring at all.
No, the guys that get to go kick indoors. It's kind of scary.
They don't sound boring.
Jump out of planes and
Well, I've just been holding down the fort here, man.
I appreciate
all
it.
lonesome.
You used a military term, a fort.
I did use a military term. I had some weird preaching while you were gone.
I know it.
It was some weird
I've got
passages.
some fun one next week.
Which one's next week? I can't remember.
Slaves obey your masters.
Yeah,
I appreciate you leaving me that one.
Yeah, well, I did this past week. I had to preach on paying elders.
I love that. I was like, there, here. Yep.
Amen. Yeah. And hey, we're going to Disney this week.
I know.
That's gonna be so fun. Yeah.
So now you're leaving me here, you hypocrite.
That's what you get.
That's what I get. Yeah.
You went to go do boring stuff. We're going to stinking Disney World or Universal, man.
Yes.
7 days. It's gonna be fun.
I think it's a good time to go too.
Yeah,
it's not too hot yet.
It could be way hotter, and it could be way crowdier. Crowded?
Yeah, that's
more
it.
crowded. More crowded. Yeah. And so it's gonna be a pretty good time to go. We're looking forward to it. We're all excited.
I'm stoked for you.
Yeah.
Driving that Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
The Star Wars place is awesome.
Yeah. We're going to go there.
You're going to get to go in the cantina.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're Evie and Archer are going to make a droid and a lightsaber.
Absolutely they are.
Yeah.
Ethan's droid sitting on one of our shelves.
You know how much those are now?
How much?
So the droid is $120.
I think it was 80 when we went.
Yeah. You know how much lightsaber is?
Not a clue.
$250.
We did not make a lightsaber.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Make-A-Wish is paying.
Yes.
Yeah, so we're going to do it.
Thank you, Make-A-Wish.
Make-A-Wish is great, man. They're awesome people. They're paying for everything, man.
What color lightsabers Evie going to make? Red.
Oh, yeah, probably.
Every time I come over, she says it's battle time.
Yeah. She is keen on the dark side. Yeah.
Well, we need those. I'm going to talk to her when she gets older about recruitment.
Yeah. I could never see her in the military. And right now, of course, she's a little girl, but like her personality-wise, she's heading in a creativity.
Yeah, we're gonna move her a different direction.
Yeah. That's where she's heading, like some sort of creative arts kind of thing.
Yeah. She's going to be fine. She's not going to go in the military. I tell everybody this joke, and all my military friends listening, I'm like, there's only 3 kinds of people who are in the military mostly. And that is people whose parents didn't pay any attention to them.
Yeah.
people whose parents are legacy military. And people whose parents didn't pay any attention to them.
Yep. That's exactly right.
For a place to be, man.
That is
where people love you.
That's ubiquitous. It really is.
It's pretty close.
You either have legacy military families or no family.
Yeah, or like you just got this. I got to belong to something. I need a family.
Yeah, or just like
now. There's some outliers out there. Is like, how am I going to pay for college kids?
Yeah,
I just want to have an adventure.
It's kind of a different vibe though. Sometimes, I mean, at least my experience with like people that go like full active duty. Yeah. And people who do National Guard to get through college or something. Yeah. It's kind of a different vibe. It is. Yeah. Well, we appreciate all of our military people, man.
That's right. Don't you take my parking spot at Lowe's.
You're the best. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. Dude, here's something funny. I guess it's not funny, but speaking of parking spots, so Archer has a handicap thing. And stuff.
Yes.
And we need to use it because he takes a lot of room to get out of the van and everything. And we have noticed now that we have to use this, how many people park in the handicap spots that aren't handicapped, don't have a tag. They just hop out of the car, run in the store.
How could they do it?
Dude, it is like infuriating.
Man, listen, I've been driving since I was 16 years old, 34 years. Yeah. And some of that I was not even a believer, right?
Yeah.
I didn't become a believer till I was 21. So I had no real moral guidance from Jesus. I have never once in 36 years parked illegally in a handicap parking spot. Yeah. I would never do it.
Yesterday, was it yesterday Mother's Day? 2 days ago.
Yeah, 2 days ago.
On Mother's Day, we ran it into Foodland. I had Evie and Archer. Every single handicap spot was taken up, and there wasn't a single handicap tag in the whole thing. Like, not a single one.
Yeah, let's say 50% of them, like, forgot their tag. That means... they're actually handicapped.
Yeah.
The rest of them, may God see and judge.
Yeah, it was awful because it's like there's just a lot of getting out of the car and stuff.
I will go take a slam in the handicap stall if it's open. That dude can wait his turn like everybody else.
No, there's so
can
many
I
bathrooms.
Say that out loud?
So many bathrooms. The only stall is a handicap stall.
Sometimes you got to go in there. You got something to hold on to in there. It's nice.
Archer ain't doing nothing in the stall, so I'm not worried about that. Now there's a rule. Ladies who listen to this, you don't know this rule, okay? This is just good trivia for you. There's a rule about urinals, okay? You always use the highest urinal you can use.
Yes.
Right? There's shorter urinals and stuff. And you never go for those because some people can only use, like little kids can only use the short ones, right? So you always go for the highest one, right?
Oh,
That's
no.
Courtesy. You don't do that, do you?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I just thought of something terrible I did at a steakhouse recently. But it's also there's unspoken rules about which urinal you go to. You always
100%.
Leave a urinal open.
If you got room to leave a space,
you go
leave
as far away from another dude as you can.
Yeah. You went right next to someone, didn't you?
No, well, that's not what it is. I'm not sure we want to talk. Should we talk about
there's an etiquette
farting
involved.
in this
Oh,
podcast.
is that okay?
I don't know.
Is it okay? Well, I think it's okay to talk about it on the podcast, but is it okay, like, in the moment, like, when you're at the urinal?
Oh, you got to.
Sometimes
you can't let it go.
Sometimes it just comes out.
Well, I was sitting next to a shout out to Major Colbert. I'll tell this story. This is so bad. And I know, shout out to Nana, my mother-in-law. She listens to this. I'm sorry, Nana, that I'm telling this on live. But anyway, so, man, me and Major Colbert, we're at a steakhouse.
Poor Nana.
And we had to eat out every night.
Yeah.
It was terrible. I gained 3 pounds back. I've lost everything. I'm going to have to buy you a steak, but I don't care. Anyway, I'm staying. We're at these urinals, man. And I can't go because I got to let her rip. Right. And so I think this is going to be funny. Major Culver sitting there. And I let it rip, man. It was a cheek flapper. It was like, I mean, just a huge one.
Like a tuba.
And I'm laughing. He's laughing. And I look behind me, brother. And there's like this 5-year-old boy by himself in the bathroom standing right behind me.
Oh, no.
Because he don't know where to stand. Waiting for a urinal. And, dude, I just parted his hair like the waters of the Red Sea. Oh, I blasted him. And I looked back, and he was looking at me like, like frozen. And I said, "Oh, buddy," I said, "I'm sorry. I should have checked my back blast area. I didn't know you was back there." And Colbert thinks I'm talking to him. He goes, "Oh, that's a juicy one, chap. You got to watch." And the kid ran and jumped in one of the stalls and shut the door.
Oh my
And I was
gosh.
like, "Oh no! Please let me die."
That's so funny. Oh, man.
That was probably the first time they let him go
Man,
in the
you've had a
bathroom
lot of those
as a
moments
big
recently.
boy. I know.
Dude. Yeah. You used to live with your foot in your mouth, man.
Oh man, that was the worst, dude. I feel for that kid, but oh my goodness, I can't believe that happened. But he was silent like a mouse. I didn't know he was in there.
That's his own fault.
He learned a valuable lesson that day. Stand against the wall. Wait your turn.
Yeah. You can't stand right behind a grown man's butt while he's
He wasn't
peeing.
quite that close. It just felt very close because he was danger close. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I mean, he smelled it. There's
Oh, he felt it maybe. I don't know. It was a big one. I said,
Oh, man,
look,
he caught
man,
the
it was like
breeze.
horns in the deep.
Oh, God.
Condor calls for aid.
Reference, yeah.
Oh, boy.
We talk about the Bible on this podcast eventually. Let's do it. Let's get into the Bible.
Oh, man.
Hey, we are making progress through the Torah, right?
Mm-hmm. Nice segue. Thanks for saving us.
Yeah, man. Yeah, making progress. Just like Moses split the Red Sea. Wait, that's the segue. You splitting that boy's hair down the middle.
Right down.
Yeah. All right. So we finally got to the book of. We finished Leviticus last week, and we're in the book of Numbers now. And Numbers is just interesting. Like this is one of those. Like if you're not familiar with the Bible, you might not even know what we're talking about.
Numbers,
yeah, Numbers. Like what are you talking about? Numbers. That is a book of the Bible.
Yes.
And it's a very interesting name, isn't it?
Yes.
Right. Why is it called Numbers?
That's great. So in the Hebrew name of the books is just the first word.
Yeah.
Of the book.
What's the Hebrew word?
I don't know. On this one, I know that
yeah.
Genesis is Bereshit because it says in the beginning. I can't remember what the first Hebrew word is.
It's Vida Ver. Oh yeah, Dever. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
And he spoke.
Yeah.
Oh, so they call it Numbers because at the very first they number all the people.
Yeah.
And pretty much what the first, I don't want to go too fast, but if you read this, the first 4 chapters are going to make you sleepy because it'd be hard to be interested in it. And you shouldn't over spiritualize it. But pretty much it is literally, militarily speaking, this is God's marching orders of how they're supposed to move through the wilderness.
Yep. There's censuses. It's like a lot of counting.
It's a lot of counting, and he tells each tribe where they're to camp. Like Dan is supposed to camp to the north of the tent of meeting, and I can't remember. Maybe Judah is to the south, and so the bigger tribes they sort of organize around the tent of meeting.
Yeah.
The
tabernacle.
The tabernacle. The presence of God is center, right, the heart of the formation. Yeah. And then he tells them how to camp around it, what to do at the camp. And then he speaks about, this is maybe slightly spiritual, I'm not sure. But the Levites are not numbered the same way.
Yeah. They're separate.
And they are symbolically treated not as a tribe, but as a tribe, in the sense that, we talked about early on in the Torah that it seemed to have been God's will that the firstborn son of each family have the responsibility to be the priest of the family.
That's right, yeah.
And they screwed that up. And so what he says here in Numbers is instead of that, the Levites are acting as the firstborn sons.
Yeah.
And so every Levite belongs to the Lord.
Yeah.
So he creates a priesthood to sort of, we might say centralize or to make sure that the word of the Lord is passed along correctly. He makes a special tribe for it. Yeah. And he's going to make a central place for worship. And so that's what they do. The Levites aren't numbered the same way. And then he gives instructions on where everybody's to camp, but he also gives instructions to the...
well, and remember the Levites, there's like this, they count the firstborn in the entire camp. And there are that many Levites that are supposed to be replaced replace them, and they're supposed to redeem them.
Yes.
They're supposed to like buy them back, basically.
Yeah.
Right.
There's a thing where I can't remember exactly how it goes, but it's like it turns out there's more of one than the other, and they had to give Aaron a bunch of silver for it.
Yeah.
Well, that's the redemption price.
Yeah. 5 shekels for each person.
Yeah.
That's what it says. Yeah.
And so they wind up with 1,200 or 1,400 shekels or something like that of silver because of it. Yeah. But so yeah, and the marching orders are given, and then he gives specific tasks to families within the Levites. So the Levites are a tribe, but then there's like family clans inside that.
Yeah,
and we know that because Aaron's sons, the sons of Aaron, are supposed to be the order of the high priest. And then there's like, I can't remember their names.
The
Kohathites and the Girgashites or whatever.
Gershonites.
Merarites. Each family inside of the Levitical tribe is given a task in the temple. It's broken down. So like these guys are supposed to carry these articles.
Yeah.
These guys are supposed to carry these articles.
You're in charge of the oil.
Yeah, you're in charge of carrying the oil. That way when they broke down, it was very organized.
Yeah.
So the numbers is reflecting the fact that there's a huge census of how many people there are, how many fighting men there are, and then the breakdown of how many, what's your job when we move?
Yeah.
Like, hey, we're moving out. You guys get the curtains. You guys get this. You guys are going to carry the Ark of the Covenant. You guys are going to carry the menorah. This is how we're going to move. Don't touch it with your hands. Wear gloves, whatever. He like gives instructions. And then, so that's what it is. What's the spiritual application of that?
There's things, I think there are things to glean from it. It's like, they're in the thematic sense of like, why are they doing a census?
Yeah.
Why, like, it's because they're preparing for war.
Yeah.
They're about to invade Canaan. They're supposed to, right? They're about to cross the river. That's the whole idea.
Yeah.
And, that's what you did before you went to war is you need to know your numbers and it's like this is like it's almost like
logistics.
It is. It's almost like it's court
like
documents.
Even to this day, like we have a shop. We call them shops, but one of their jobs is every day they have to give a personnel status. They call it the per stat, and it's like we've got 451 people here. Or we started with 451. 3 are injured. 4 are here. This is what's going on with that. Like this. That's what's happening here.
Yeah. There's also there's some like historical significance in a lot of this. The numbers, some of the numbers are kind of ridiculously precise, and some of them are rounded.
Yeah,
and
people who hate the Bible love that.
Yeah, they love that.
And it's like, over here it says they had 1 million. Other places it says there were 900,051. How many was it?
Like, so sometimes they're precise, sometimes they're not, and that is actually a good thing. It's a helpful thing for Bible reading to kind of frame up your expectations for numbers, like not the book of Numbers, but how numbers work in ancient history. And how they use them, because it's like there's a point at which the number gets big enough where they seem to start rounding.
Yeah,
and it's okay. Yeah.
Well, one of the things also though is, especially when you're talking about wartime, numbers are hard.
Yeah.
Like how many people have been killed in the Ukraine conflict? Just Google it.
Oh yeah.
You're going to get 7 numbers.
For sure, yeah.
So like a lot of these are estimates probably. They're not, it's not like, and we'll never know.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's okay. There's a statement on I guess decades ago, 80s, I guess it was, that Danvers, Chicago Statement on Inerrancy.
Yeah, Chicago Statement of Inerrancy.
Yeah, that's what, we have these statements that are like about doctrine and stuff. This one is kind of took place during a controversy about the inerrancy of the Bible. It was kind of, it's not just in the Southern Baptist world, it's kind of all over. Evangelical world.
Yeah, they're trying to define, what do you mean it's inerrant?
Yeah, inerrant means without error, right? And there are some issues with when some people describe inerrancy, it's issues to deal with and to clarify. And one of those things kind of comes up with numbers, right? Can you put a rounded number in the scriptures and say this is
Inerrant.
and say it's
Or you
inerrant.
when they're counting two things in different books of the Torah, and they're different numbers.
Yeah,
Does that
and one
mean
of them's
an
around
error?
it, and one of them's the exact. And so, how do you deal with the error involved?
Because
This
if
is the
that's
word of God.
wrong, there's no way Jesus rose from the dead.
That's the argument, right? That's where people go.
Yeah.
And the way this statement describes it, this is just good doctrine. What really well said doctrine is that there is an intention in the text, and is it true to the intention? Right? Is it trying to give you a rounded number? Then it's right. It's like that's what it's trying to do.
There's a lot of things. One of the things that they grouse about is like the basin, the bronze basin of the sea, that it doesn't work out. It can't be the dimensions exactly, they say, because it contradicts like pi and radius. It can't be made that way. And it's like, what? Come on, man.
They were beating that thing with a hammer, dude.
I know, well, also, it's like, what's a cubit?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly.
It's like, man, they didn't even have precise measurements.
No,
there were no measuring tapes. They were like, well, cubits, if you look it up, usually they say a cubit's like, what, the tip of your finger to your elbow or something?
Something like that,
And it's like, well, that depends on what dude's measuring it, right?
Yeah.
You don't know. It's like a foot.
Yeah.
The foot was really the length of the King of England's foot.
Yeah, that's right. So sometimes when people, this happens on two extremes, and it's so weird that they look at the Bible the same way. The most quote unquote conservative readers that might even kind of be King James only people who like, and I don't even like to use the word conservative for them. It's not the right word, but that's how they describe themselves. And most literal, like plain literal readers of the Bible read the Bible the same way as the worst liberals.
Yes.
That they expect that kind of one-to-one accuracy that we expect in measurements today.
Which is why they say the King James Version is inspired.
That's why. Exactly.
Yes, because they don't want to go back to Greek.
Yeah, they don't want to deal with the Greek and the complexity involved in stuff. And so you have these two extremes, like who are deeply quote unquote conservative and deeply liberal readers of the Bible, and they both have a inaccurate view of accuracy in the Bible.
Well, both of them are trying to read it extraordinarily literally.
Yeah.
One is trying to catch you in a mistake to make fun of you, and the other is like, well, if it's inspired, it has to literally.
Yeah.
Like numbers can be different, but there's other issues that you've got to deal with in that statement, like what the Earth seemingly described as a square, flat.
Yeah.
Or like how
the corners of the Earth.
The Earth rises, or the sun rises. Sorry. We know the sun doesn't rise, actually.
Yeah.
It's perspective.
Yeah.
But they don't apply that to chapter 1 of Genesis. But everywhere else,
it's an issue of like your expectations for the Bible and for an ancient book, like on accuracy. Sometimes we expect the Bible to be like live footage. Like we have live footage of an event happening, like without any kind of poetry or anything. But that really it's the same thing as if you were to fly to China and you were to get off the airplane and expect everyone around you to speak English. Right? Yeah. They speak Chinese, and you get mad about it, right? Yeah. Maybe get mad that they're not speaking English. I speak English. Why don't they speak English? Well, because it's Chinese. That's like going back into 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 years ago, right? And expecting them to have the same expectation for accuracy that you have. It's inappropriate.
This is a really weird thing to say, but I'm going to say it. The languages were not even accurate.
No. Primitive languages.
It is so, when you read biblical Hebrew, it's like David, King Jerusalem. Yeah. And we would translate, and now David was king of Jerusalem, but in it sounds like caveman speak. It'd be like David, King Jerusalem.
I about every Old Testament professor I know usually says something along those lines.
Yeah, and it's like my favorite is in Jonah. I think I've mentioned this before, but in the King James it says, "And now Jonah became exceedingly wrathful that the Lord had done this thing." Yeah, yeah. And in Hebrew it says, "Now Jonah got mad, a big mad." Yeah. He gets a mad gidola. He gets a big old mad. Big mad. Jonah get mad, big mad. Yeah. Jonah say, "God, why?"
And it's not that they were dumb, right?
No.
But language,
They just invented writing.
I know.
not-
Yeah. Language as it develops gets more and more accurate.
Has to.
And
we get more and more stuff. Like
Yeah.
one of the things to think about is, I think I've mentioned this before, but like if you say dog, that's the only word they had in Hebrew. They didn't care if it was a German Shepherd or a Schnauzer or what. It was just dog.
Yeah.
And now then we have like 75 words for dogs
And
or more.
That's
probably.
that's why English is. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why English is as popular as it is, but one of the reasons is its ability to grow in accuracy.
Yeah.
Its ability to absorb other languages. and
Yes,
stuff
but
very
also
easily.
just think of this.
Yeah.
For our dear watchers on here, how many things on this desk were not invented 75 years ago and literally had no word?
I know. Yeah. Right.
Computer,
Yeah.
microphone,
Well,
even like this wiring, whatever. I don't even know what that is.
that is an audio interface.
Audio interface.
Neither
See?
of those things. Well, audio is Latin, so
Yeah, but I'm just saying, I don't even know what that was. You had to teach me this. Cell phones?
Latin changed the world.
Yeah.
It was the most accurate language.
Here's a good example of it.
It could constantly be like a word in Latin could constantly be modified and added onto with three suffixes.
I think this example might help people figure out what language did. Roman numerals.
Oh yeah.
Think about Roman numerals. So the only place we use them in the world now is the Super Bowl, right? And it's like XVIII is like, what is that? 18. XVIII. And then you take an I and you if it's XIV, if the smaller number is in front of the bigger number, you got to subtract one.
Yep.
You cannot actually do multiplication with that number system. It's impossible.
Yep.
So until they invented or got Arabic numerals, so much math was off limits.
Yeah.
So when you read Hebrew, some things like verb tense is not there.
Yeah, they don't have it.
It's not verb. So we can't even think like, what do you mean? Like 2 times 6, we teach that to first graders.
Yeah.
Grown men in Rome, the most enlightened minds, had never thought about multiplication tables.
Yeah. They didn't have them.
And they didn't have them.
Yeah.
And so it develops. And language did the same thing.
Yeah.
And so when you see these, quote, inaccuracies, you can just kind of like imagine yourself in a time where all you have access to is a kind of Roman numeral system.
Yeah.
And in Hebrew, with numbers.
It wasn't even that.
It wasn't even
It was
even
the
Roman numerals.
letters.
They used the letters
Yeah.
to stand in for numbers.
Yeah.
So it just was not there.
Yeah, it's very it's a complicated issue, but I think all that to say, like if out there on the internet and stuff, the internet people who are making TikToks and stuff trying to
Make you not believe Jesus rose from the dead.
and they are doing it, right?
100%.
This is something that they may levy against that. They may bring this up and talk about inaccuracies and try to take a hit at inerrancy. And look, as we've said so many times, people have been reading the Bible for 2,000 years.
More.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
New Testament, at least,
Yeah.
And every question and concern you might have, and that guy
Somebody's
on
talked about
YouTube is saying, it's been answered.
If you have a question about the nature of a passage and its complexity, or like it seems to contradict, you can literally, I would say 99% of the time, find somebody talking about it before 400 AD. They've already dealt with it 1,600 years ago.
Oh, for
Somebody
sure.
mentioned it.
The first, some of the earliest Christian writers, that was exactly what they were doing.
Yes.
100%.
Yeah.
So this is not an issue.
No, what makes me upset is, or not upset, but what kind of fascinates me is how angry people are when they're trying to disprove the Bible. And because it's never like, gee whiz, guys, if you ever, like a honest engagement with the Bible, it's like, you're so stupid. How could you believe this, you stupid head? And it's like, man, I don't appreciate your tone.
Yeah. Well, that's the old adage goes is like atheists, like what they say is I don't believe in God and I hate him.
Yeah. There is no God and I hate him. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
Man.
There is no God and I hate him. That's how you say it. Yeah. And there's truth in that, man. There's like,
but on the other end, those conservative guys who are so angry at atheists are doing the same thing they do.
Yeah. Debate in general, like breeds anger.
Yeah.
And like, it's hard to have a conversation when, it's hard to have a public conversation.
And you actually can't get anybody saved through apologetics.
Can't do it.
You can't. I mean,
apologetics is good for Christians.
All
man.
you have to do in apologetics is you're just trying to hold your ground long enough to be nice to this person. And show them you love them.
I mean, it's
Yeah,
like, I think it is. It does. Yeah, it's like I think the best apologetic. By the way, if you don't know what apologetics is, it's not making apologies.
Yeah, it's like, sorry, I believe all this.
No, apologetics is defending. It's like the word for defending your faith and stuff. And so, I think the apologetics is mostly helpful for Christians who genuinely believe, but there are hard questions to answer, and it can be a source of assurance.
It's just to show. I mean, really, apologetics is for confidence.
Yeah, to build confidence.
It's just to build confidence. It's not about
some like new believers, some people who God is, enlightening their mind like in the moment and stuff. I think it can be helpful in those moments as like a tool that God uses to do that kind of stuff, but it's not what saves you.
No, the goal, I would say, I didn't mean to make it sound like apologetics are bad. They're good and they're very useful. The goal of apologetics is to build a bridge to share the gospel. Is to say, yeah, I've seen that with these numbers differences, or in Mark, it says there's a couple of demoniacs, and in other, it seems like there's just one. Or, how the thief on the cross does. Is there one thief or two? And that sort of things. Like, I'm aware of these things, and it doesn't bother my faith. And here's how we reconcile those things. Yeah. But the most important question is the person of Jesus. What is that about? Yeah. And that doesn't mean the other things are unimportant. Yeah. But what we need to talk about is the Lord. Yeah. And if his claims are true, then we have to read the rest of this stuff in a different light. Yeah, like what happened to Jesus of Nazareth? Yeah. And why are there 3 billion people who claim to have a relationship with him? Yeah. That's a weird question.
That's a big question.
Yeah, like seriously, what is going on? Yeah. If it were anything else, people would be like investigating this phenomenon. Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah. Yeah. That this dude from Nazareth, people couldn't even point to it on a map. It's a nothingville. Yeah. People worship this dude.
They do. Yep.
And every week. Write songs about him. There's this is weird. Mm-hmm. The reason we have healthcare and hospitals and half the instruments we got, and even classical music, the reason we have Bach. Yep. I'm not joking. It's because of Jesus Christ.
I know it.
Like the reason Bach wrote his stuff is because he was in love with the person from Nazareth. Yep. That is wild.
It was church music, folks.
Yes. Yeah. All that stuff. The fact that we think that beauty in the world is worth exalting is tied straight to that. Yeah. It's so weird.
You went to college?
Yeah.
You can thank Jesus for colleges.
That's a fact. Yeah. The universities were founded because of Jesus.
Oh, I know. Isn't it bizarre?
Yeah. The world without Jesus is impossible to imagine. Whether you're a believer or not.
For sure.
I would hope if I was sitting across from what do you call it when somebody is, they're not just trying gotcha games. We're actually talking. If it was like an atheist, scientist, or whatever, and I said the words, it is impossible to imagine the modern world without Jesus Christ, they would have to say, you're right about that.
If they have any kind of honesty.
They might say, I don't think he rose from the dead. I think that this was a conjuration of 300 years of dabbling and adjusting the legend. Yeah. They would have to say, yeah, man, even Islam believes Jesus is a prophet. Yeah. I mean, it's like you can't do anything without Jesus anywhere in the world.
Yeah, that's true. Yep. So I don't know, apologetics, it can be helpful. Yeah, the Lord softens people's hearts maybe with it.
I think people are angry at God, even if they don't know it. And so they just blast you because they can't get to God. And so they're blasting you with their excuses. Yeah. And as I can't remember if it's Jocko Willink or whoever says this, all your excuses are lies. I like that. I have to remind myself of that when I don't want to go to the gym. But it's like they're just blasting their excuses not to believe because the Bible teaches us there really are no atheists.
Yep, everyone knows.
Everyone knows.
There's no excuse.
What they're doing is they're piling up excuses not to believe so they won't be held accountable. To convince themselves there's no God.
Yep, that's right.
And so what they're doing is they're blasting you with all this ammo. And if you can be standing there after it's done and you've given a reasonable response and you're not being a weirdo cult person who's just can't deal with this, then they might be like, man, I just unloaded my M4 on them like shooting Superman or something, and they're unfazed by all my issues. Yeah. Yeah. And then it's like, now we can talk.
Yeah.
It's like, I've thought of all of these things. I've had, in fact, some of these objections that sometimes when I'm talking to people, I mean, I didn't become a believer when I was 21.
Yeah.
Some of the things unbelievers say to me, it's like a recording of things that I said when I didn't believe.
Yep.
And
It's questions I dabbled with, it's like, but it's a lot of times it's always running from something, I think, yeah. It always is. Yes, exactly. Running from, accountability. Look at us. We are on the wavelength, man.
That's what I was running
pros,
from.
dude.
Yeah, man. We're practically twins.
Absolutely. That's what I was running from too. Well, let's look at a couple. So the first 4 chapters, really, we're talking censuses, numbers, counting,
how
duties,
to march,
where to go.
Levites belong to me. I'm going to have a centralized priesthood.
Yeah.
And you get your guys ready. How many fighting men do we actually have?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yep. And then in chapter 5, we get some commands or something.
Chapter 5 is so weird.
Yeah.
Speaking of weird spots in the Bible, if I were trying to talk people out of Christianity, Numbers 5 might be a good one to get after. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's look at it. Let's read it. You want to just read the whole chapter?
Well, it's actually very long.
Very long. Well,
let me sum it up.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
So this is called the ordeal of adultery in some places is what they call it, or something to that effect.
My translation, the CSB, has a title for it called the jealousy ritual.
Jealousy ritual is another thing they call it. So jealousy ritual or the ordeal of adultery. So what this is if you are married and you're a dude and you suspect that your wife has been cheating on you, but you can't prove it, you never saw it happen. But it says when his heart is inflamed with jealousy, like he thinks, man, my wife been running around on me, but he can't prove it. What he's supposed to do is bring her to the priest. This is so weird. Yeah. And the priest is to make an elixir of cursing. And so it's like he gets water and they make an offering and then he puts some ashes in the water and then he writes down this curse. And it's basically the curse is, if you're innocent, nothing will happen.
Yeah.
If you're guilty, your belly's going to swell up and your womb is going to crinkle up and die and you will never have kids and you'll be ashamed to Israel. And then he rinses that ink off into the water and he like shakes it up and she has to drink it.
Yeah.
And then everybody watches. And if nothing happens, she's innocent and will have babies and everything will be fine. If she's guilty, her belly is supposed to swell up and her womb wither and everybody will be like, you dirty cheater.
Yeah.
That is the ordeal of adultery.
Yeah. You'll look pregnant, but never be pregnant.
Yes. It's.
I know it. That's wild, isn't it?
It's really weird.
Yeah.
So
what do you do with that, man?
Well,
what
do I do with it, or what have they historically done with that?
Well, they didn't do anything. They never did it.
We don't have any record that anybody actually did this.
Yeah, that's the whole deal.
And what's funny is, like I said, you can read church fathers on this. They're useless to you in this regard because the early ones like Origen and Augustine, if you're educated, all those guys pretty much allegorize this text.
Oh yeah, what do they? Where do they?
There's like Christ and His church, or it's like Christ and Israel, and like purging them from sin. It's like this weird. I don't want to say.
I understand that though.
Yeah,
I get that because of like how adultery is used as
over and over about Israel.
For Israel. Yeah,
yes,
I get that.
It's not. It's a leap, but it ain't a far one.
It's like they
were trying to be pastors. They're trying to use everything, and it's
I mean, look, if we're preaching through Numbers, we would probably talk about the reality of this and like how God might have used this or something in that day.
Yeah,
and His supernatural ability to judge. Right.
So yes,
but we would also we'd probably land the plane on that allegory for the gospel.
Yeah, we'd make a jump.
Yeah, we would make a jump.
Yeah,
we wouldn't make it all that though.
It'd be like, now adultery bad, and you've been cheating on God. But pretty much what I like about this to say is one, it's actually kind of a protection for the woman, even though it seems like a humiliating ritual, which I think it would be.
Yeah,
but it keeps a dude from. Jealousy can pop up for no reason, right? And it keeps him from hastily being able to divorce his wife or kill her. Yes, for no reason.
Yeah,
like she's innocent. He's just this dude's just a jealous twerp. He needs to get over it. Yeah. Plus, they're like getting married at 17 back then. You imagine now.
Yeah. You have to imagine like what's the physical ramifications of this. Does ashy water make your belly swell up and make your womb go barren?
No.
Okay. It doesn't.
No.
That's not what will happen on a like biological chemistry level.
Yeah.
So if that happens,
it'd be a miracle.
It's a miracle. God had made this happen. Yep. And if there's nothing, she has done nothing, then nothing happens.
Something happens. The dude gets held accountable.
That's right.
It's like, hey man, you need to cool your jets, bro. Yeah. Because God did not judge her, and that means this woman's been faithful to you, and you've been treating her like garbage. Yeah. So get your junk together.
That's right. This is so someone from like a outside looking in perspective, maybe cynical, skeptical, or something. Looks at this. This is like the witch trial. This is the witch trial.
This is a witch trial. Yep.
No, it's actually opposite.
Yeah.
Right. So all the witch trial stuff was like the tests were built so guilt was assumed and punishment happens. The miracle is being saved from punishment.
Yeah.
Right. The miracle in this situation would be the punishment.
Yes.
Right. And so that's right. Opposite of the witch trials.
Opposite in the sense that it's like they dunk you underwater.
Yeah.
And if you're innocent, you drown.
Yeah.
If not, you confess. It's
that's
like,
right.
I'm kind of doomed
you
either
have
which
like
way.
Stones stacked on top of you.
Yeah.
And if you're crushed, you're guilty.
Oh no! If you're crushed, you're not guilty.
Yeah, I forget how they did it.
It's like confess. It's
but
like
mentally,
they're
starting with the punishment.
Yes.
Like that was certain to kill you.
Yeah,
and so you need a miracle to save you. Like and that is invocation.
Yeah,
right. This is what the temptation with Christ is like. It's similar to this to test God. To save you from you doing something stupid, right? Jump off the temple or whatever,
an atheist or somebody who doesn't believe in the supernatural would look at this and say, "This is stupid." They're always innocent. Then, well, it's like, well, even if that were the case, it keeps them from being killed or divorced hastily.
Yeah.
But we believe in the supernatural, and God does all kinds of things in front of his altar, as we've seen, that would be like, he will judge you.
Yeah.
And so Nadab and Abihu, it opens up with that. Yeah. Like he burnt them to death right in front of the altar. There are kings who go in there. Which one is it that tried to make an offering of the priest, and God struck him instantly and his hand withered? Uzzah tries to keep the ark from tipping over. God kills him. There's like all kinds of instances of supernatural judgment. Yeah. So if they had ever carried this out, you'd have to think, well, maybe God will do the supernatural thing he says he's going to do.
Yeah, and if you believe that, and like I think we obviously believe that he said he will do it, we believe it. You see this as an opportunity for confession, for holy confession, right? And that is that's a gift, right? I have the opportunity to confess and repent. Is a gift it's an opportunity. And I think that this is, you get set up here, right? You're doing this ritual, you're in front of everyone and say you're actually guilty. Your husband was right?
Yeah. And
you're actually guilty. Are you actually going to go through with it? Or are you just going to confess?
Yeah.
And be divorced or something.
Or dead.
The opposite for them would be worse though. Yeah. In a sense, like there are things worse than death, complete ostracization from everything and everyone you've known and loved, being an outcast, swollen bellied, have nothing the rest of your life. You're going to die a horrible death, right? Like that's worse, right? And so it's an opportunity to confess and face your consequences.
Yeah.
So I think there's that's a part of it too, right? This is a public thing.
Yeah. And if not, you get to be vindicated in front of everybody.
That's right.
See, my husband's just a jerk.
That's right. Yeah, it's a weird piece, but it's like I get it. In a sense, like this ancient, it's just a different world, dude. They ain't got Life 360 and stuff.
They ain't got Life 360. They ain't got DNA tests for the kids.
No, they don't have that. And they, it's a pretty homogenous people too.
Yeah.
It's like, they've all been lumped together for 400 years. Pretty homogenous people. And so you don't know who the dad is.
They're homogenous.
Yeah.
And they're all the same.
That's funny. And so you get these kind of rituals here. Again, we'd never have any examples of this
and
in
we
history.
know that the Israeli tree back in that day did not branch far.
I know, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's like, they were not allowed to.
Abraham
marry
was
outside.
already married to his half sister. It was
Yeah.
some seriously close genetics going on.
Yeah.
And then Isaac married his cousin, first cousin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's against God's law for them to marry outside of Israel. So it's hard to tell if whose baby it is. You know, so I could, that's a hard thing to imagine, like living in a world like that where you don't.
And also, you're like literally living in tents. It's like camped next to each other.
I know. Yeah. Let's move on. Let's look at the Nazarite vow, and we'll finish with that. That's an interesting piece of
Nazarite
story.
vow's weird too.
It is weird.
I'd say unusual.
There are two Nazarites that we know of, right? In the Bible, you have Samson,
yes,
and you have John the Baptist, right?
Yeah, and possibly Samuel.
Possibly Samuel. Oh, is that right?
Yeah, some textual variants when Hannah brings Samuel. This is kind of interesting. The textual variant is that he will be called a Nazarite, is in that text.
Oh.
And later they lift that quote for Jesus. Yeah, he will be called a Nazarene.
Yeah.
That comes from the textual variant about Samuel.
Well, the thing about the New Testament, Nazarene is not Nazarite.
No.
It's a different word.
Yeah.
Completely different. It's not what you would use for that.
It's not, but then it's kind of weird. It's like, was Jesus a Nazarite his whole life? It's possible.
Yeah, and he's from Nazarene is what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. But some say Samuel. Yeah.
How about that?
There. Yeah.
So,
and Samson, by the way, destroys this vow, and it's supposed to be a lifelong Nazarite.
Yeah, he's
he
not
breaks
a good
it
one.
like 30 times.
But he's kind of the most famous one, probably.
Yeah. But what's funny about his breaking of the vows is it never explicitly tells you, unless you know the rules, you don't realize he's breaking them all the time.
Yeah.
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 Like
that's right. So this is like the hyperlink.
Yes.
Right. So if you're reading in Judges, you're flipping back over to number 6 a bunch to look at this vow.
Yeah. So what's a Nazarite vow?
Let's read it. Okay. It's chapter 6. When a man or a woman makes a special vow, a Nazarite vow. Do you know the etymology of the Nazarite? Like what that means, like in Hebrew? Or
yeah, it means. I do know, and I'm it's like vow or set apart, something like that. It's the name means what it.
Nazir means devoted, consecrated,
that's
devotee.
That's it.
A free grown crop, also.
Yeah.
Someone devoted to God, a prince, tribe. Yeah. How about that? It's like a vow of special devotion.
It's sort of like if in our modern day, even though people don't do this hardly ever anymore, but it's sort of like a fast.
Yeah.
They're gonna deny themselves several things for some reason, like just to devote themselves to the Lord. Like you might go on a men's retreat or something.
Yeah.
Like then this is like, hey, I'm going to get serious about my relationship with God.
But I'm going to do it for the rest of my
I'm
life.
well, this is not all of them are for the rest of your life.
Oh, is that right?
No,
okay.
It's temporary.
Okay.
Even the Apostle Paul talks about going into the temple and somebody shaving their head for a Nazarite vow after it's over. So what you would do is you might say, hey, I'm going to take a Nazarite vow for the next 2 months. And you keep that devotion to the Lord. And at the end of the 2 months, you would go and you would offer your vow or whatever the thing you did. You would make an offering, and then you would shave your head and burn that hair on the offering table, whatever. So there's some things you have to abstain from. Yeah. It's a fast. So
here's what it says. Consecrate himself to the Lord, which is what you're doing with the vow. He is to abstain from wine and beer, so no alcohol. He must not drink vinegar made from wine or from beer. He must not drink any grape juice or eat fresh grapes or raisins. He is not to eat anything produced by the grapevine, from seeds to skins, during the period of his consecration. He must not cut his hair throughout the time of his vow of consecration. He may be holy until the time is completed. I'm sorry. Golly, man. Sorry. The indigestion. Isn't that what heartburn or whatever?
Yeah.
Just hit me like a brick. Golly. He may be holy until the time is completed, during which he consecrates himself to the Lord. He is to let the hair of his head grow long. He must not go near a dead body during the time he consecrates himself to the Lord. He's not to defile himself for his father or mother or his brother or sister when they die, while the mark of consecration to his God is on his head. He is holy to the Lord during the time of his consecration. Yeah, so like some of those things, if you're familiar with the story of Samson, they're just popping out to you, right? All the dead bodies and stuff, the alcohol and everything.
Yep. Stealing the honey from the carcass of the lion, trying to take something sweet out of what's defiled.
Yep.
That is a symbolic moment.
And that's more explicitly said here.
Yeah.
Yeah, here next.
That actually is one of the most beautiful pictures to me in the book of Judges, or maybe anywhere, is when Samson sees the honey. There's like a beehive in the carcass of this dead lion. Yeah. And he goes and he gets the honey, and it's delicious. And it's a metaphor for his life. He's always trying to take the sweet thing from the forbidden.
Oh, yeah.
And that's just a really neat picture.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah,
definitely. So if someone suddenly dies near him, defiling his consecrated head, he must shave his head on the day of his purification. He is to shave it on the 7th day. On the 8th day, he is to bring 2 turtle doves, and so he's got some stuff he needs to do, burn offerings. I'll skip ahead on some of this stuff.
Yeah.
So there are some offerings to kind of cleanse himself and get back on track. Basically.
Well, he has to start over.
Yeah.
All of his days are defiled. So if he said, for the next 3 months, I'm going to live like a Nazarite, and they go to battle or something, and a dude gets killed next to him, he has to shave his head and start 3 months over. If someone dies suddenly next to him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but they got to be real paranoid. So if we're sitting here and like you had indigestion, we're like, dude, you feeling okay?
Yeah.
Because if you're fixing to drop dead, I got to get out of here.
Yeah. I just took those antibiotics, I think is what it was. Like they finally started working and I'm like, golly.
Yeah.
Where were we at? Okay.
People dying right in front of you.
Yeah. There's just a bunch of like, sacrifices.
Yeah,
that
verse
go along
13.
with it.
Now, this is the law of Nazarite when the days of his separation are fulfilled. So you can finish this vow.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to bring an offering. It's like some turtle doves and
lambs and whatnot.
then you shave your head so that everybody knows, oh, he's not a Nazarite anymore.
Yeah. How about that? Mm-hmm. So the priests involved, they're doing all this kind of stuff, the shaving of the head. And so, like, what's the purpose? Like, why would you do something like this, Brad?
Just to, like, set aside a time to try to draw closer to the Lord in your devotion. It'd be the same way. Like, I mean, we have little things like this. Like people do Lent. Why would people do Lent? Why would people give up something for Lent? Why would people fast?
Yeah.
Like, why would you do that? Why would you fast? And it's supposed to be trying to draw nearer to the Lord, right? Yeah. I'm going to spend this time to be with the Lord. And I have external accountability, right? So you know, people notice your hair's a little bit long, and they'll be like, what are you doing? Like, I made a Nazarite vow for the next 3 months. They'll be like, you better get out of here. We're fixing to have some wine.
Yeah. Well, what about Jesus' instructions on, during the Sermon on the Mount when he talks about fasting?
Well, don't let anybody know.
Yeah, don't let no one know.
It doesn't mean you can't let people know.
What does that mean?
It means that you shouldn't brag about it.
Yeah.
So, like, there's a way to do fasting. Like, people take Jesus' word so literally. It's like, I'm fasting. So if somebody asks me to go to lunch, I just tell them I can't go. But it's okay to say, I can't go, I'm fasting. If you're doing it, it's the same way he says, don't pray in front of everybody, right? Don't pray and let your prayers be long.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you can't pray in public.
Yeah.
It means you can't pray in public to be seen praying in public.
Yeah.
Or you can't walk around like, and he talks about this, he says, when you fast, anoint your head and look happy, right? Because people would be fasting, walking around going, oh, I'm so hungry. Like, why are you hungry? Oh, man, I'm fasting for the Lord because I love the Lord more than you. Oh, yeah, I'm so hungry. I'm really pious because I haven't eaten anything today. Well, I haven't eaten. Oh, I'm fasting for the Lord. And Jesus said, well, they got their reward.
Yeah.
Because what they were wanting was kudos from their buddies.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you can't say, yeah, man, I'm fasting. Like, really? Why? It's like, well, I've sinned a bunch lately and I need to get closer to God. I'm trying to kick this porn habit or whatever the heck these people, there's some reasons to try to set yourself apart from God, for God. And so that's what it's about.
Yeah.
And he doesn't mean don't tell nobody you're fasting.
Yeah.
It means don't do it just to be seen.
Yeah.
So if you become a Nazarite to show off your piety, ridiculous.
It's gonna be a
If you
problem.
become a Nazarite because you're trying to devote yourself to the Lord,
Yeah.
good job.
Yeah. That's a good. Honestly, it's a good probably opportunity to talk a little bit more about like fasting and our listeners, people who listen to podcasts, like why should they fast? Like what what is the spiritual benefit for? Like when should you, why should you, kind of thing.
When should
we don't fast a ton, right?
No.
I don't know. It's kind of I don't have much experience with fasting.
I think I got to be honest with you. I think the reason that we don't fast is because we got it so good.
Yeah.
When you are like, if someone was dealing with a what do we call it? A besetting sin.
Mm-hmm.
It's devouring you, like an addiction of some kind.
Addiction or something
you find yourself
you find yourself going talking to the same people, doing the same things,
doing the same stuff.
Like,
you realize, man, I've been really an angry person lately, or I've not been treating my kids well, or I've not done this well, or I feel a lot of anxiety for no reason lately, or we talked about it. I mentioned it flippantly, but truly, like people looking at porn or doing stuff that they know is against the Lord's will. Then it's like, hey man, maybe I need to like hit the reset button here.
I like the idea of the besetting sin.
Yeah, besetting.
That's a good way to think about it.
Get rid of that
like
thing.
Something. It's like it's haunting you.
So here's the deal. Very rarely is there instantaneous divine deliverance from a besetting sin.
Yeah, you're right.
And so it takes discipline.
Yeah.
And so if it's like, hey, I have been, every time I open my laptop, I'm looking at naked people. Mm-hmm. And I got some kind of dopamine addiction to this. Yeah. I'm going to fast. Yeah. Because I need to get my life in order.
And so
I need to discipline
you're not
myself.
Fasting necessarily the computer.
No.
You're saying fast food.
Fast food. Yeah. Fast from food.
Just the idea of like discipline, growing your discipline in one area, having a effect on your whole life.
Yeah.
And growing your entire discipline.
Here's the thing about fasting.
Yeah.
If you've never done it, you'll figure it out real fast. When you're hungry. Real fast. If you're hungry, you can't stop thinking about being hungry.
That's right.
And every single time you're hungry while you're fasting, you ask yourself, why am I hungry? Mm-hmm. Well, because I've been a total dipstick.
Yeah.
Or I need to have hunger for the Lord and the things of the Lord.
Yeah.
And so I'm not eating because I've got this thing I'm thinking about. Or, sometimes it may not be sin. It might be for direction. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or just like.
That's the only times I've actually really fasted was for like decision making and stuff.
It helps you think about stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And it's really strange, like how you get discipline in one area, disciplines in other areas get better.
They do. It does.
It's like same with just like
it's how
working out.
Humans work. I think that's how God made us. Like
when you start getting chaotic in one area, that chaos bleeds into other areas, and the opposite is also true.
Yeah.
So like, and sometimes I think fasting is for when my life has gotten chaotic. Mm-hmm. I need to center. I got to get back.
Yeah.
And so that's what fasting is for, and that's what the Nazarite vow was for.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Is that sort of thing. Just devote yourself to the Lord.
Yeah, I like that idea. I've never done it for sin. I think that's a great idea. I think that's like a constant like reminder like of reliance on God and stuff. And
and so think about
one other thing. Are you going to keep on talking about fasting?
Yeah.
Okay. I want to make sure we say something about dieting.
Yeah. It's not the same.
Yeah. But go ahead.
But like, so that's why you can see why Jesus got so annoyed when people were fasting and they were doing it for kudos. So like, let's say I have a besetting sin. I've been super impatient with my family. I haven't been doing whatever the thing is.
Yeah.
And I'm fasting. You say, hey, you want to go to lunch? I'm like, I can't, man. I can't. You're like, why? Well, I'm fasting. Why are you fasting?
Yeah. Well,
because I've been a turd to my family and I've been undisciplined. I need to get back right with the Lord. That's humiliation.
Deeply humiliating. But it's good, actually.
Good, actually.
Golly,
Isn't that good?
It's actually,
really?
There's freedom in it. There's so much. I know it's one of the hardest things to like get if confession is like difficult for you, that means you need to confess because it's supposed to be difficult.
I hate the reason for it, but one of the things I'm a little bit jealous about Catholic and Orthodox, they get to go in that booth and tell people about their sins.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
That's a wonderful spiritual discipline.
It is,
man. It's good. It's why we confess every Sunday morning.
Now,
worship.
What's happening there? I might be like, oh no, that ain't. But at the same time, like being able to be in there, and be like, I've sinned. I did all this stupid.
Do you
stuff.
have someone you can tell? Yes, listener, do you have someone you can tell your sins to? That is a rare person.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of freedom in sin, again, away from sin, when you can do that.
Yeah.
When you can have, I don't mean like accountability groups or nothing like that. Sometimes those are actually not helpful sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't think all the time. I think sometimes they can be very helpful, but sometimes it's just like they're defeating instead of liberating, you know?
Yeah.
But is there someone in your life where you can tell your sins to?
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I think
besetting
that's why stuff like AA, Alcoholics Anonymous and stuff works.
It doesn't, though.
Sometimes.
AA does not work.
They do confess.
They confess.
It's worked for some people.
I know it works for some. I know. I have beef with AA and how AA works.
Oh
yeah. You want God, but not the real God.
Well, I
You
know. I
what
get
mean?
that.
Yeah.
The higher power junk
Yeah,
and all
higher
that
power
stuff.
junk, yeah.
But like the idea of communal confession
Yeah.
and being celebrated for small victories is a big deal.
That's a big deal. That helps.
I thought about that verse today. I think I'm going to make it my life verse where God says, "Do not despise the day of small things." God's good, isn't
That's
it?
a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, he tells them that because
That's beautiful.
It is beautiful. Because I was trying to clean up my shop the other day and it's such a mess, and I was like,
It's a
I
small
didn't get
thing.
much done, but
Yeah.
it's small things.
Yeah.
Let's celebrate.
So one thing I was thinking about, I just didn't want to forget about, was the dieting. Like, this is like, sometimes when I hear people talk about fasting, they're almost talking about like it's a diet.
Yeah.
Like it's for them. It's for
Yeah,
them to
I'm
lose
trying to
weight.
lose weight.
Now look, if your besetting sin is gluttony,
Yeah.
well, that makes sense,
Yeah.
right? But this isn't like a spiritual opportunity for you to just like look better.
No.
Right. It's the same thing as like what Jesus is confronting them about.
No,
right?
fasting is actually fairly miserable.
Yeah, it's not for your vanity. Right. If this is for your vanity, you're on the wrong train here.
Yes, it's not. You're supposed to be feeling hungry, so you think about God all the time.
Yeah.
It's just like the law. You know, it just permeates every area of your life, so that you have to be cognizant of God.
Yeah.
And so if you're hungry, you're like, oh man, I got 5 days of this.
Yeah.
I mean, don't go 5 days without eating a single thing. You don't have to like not eat a single thing.
Yeah.
And you can drink. You know, you just got to plan your fast. Okay.
Yeah. I like what's the
Jesus' 40 days fast was supernatural.
yeah, it is.
You'll die.
Yeah. In the early church they fasted weekly. What was it, like Wednesday, Thursday? What was the fast? Like, you remember what it was?
Friday, I mean, it's sort of left over in Catholicism now. They don't eat meat. You got to have fish on Friday or
Is
something.
that right?
Yeah.
Fish Fry Friday?
Yeah.
Is that where that comes from?
Yeah, yeah.
How about that?
Yeah. So, like, yeah, they would fast. And a lot of folks would fast on a particular day.
Yeah.
And basically, they wouldn't eat, and they devoted themselves to prayer.
Yeah.
Prayer and fasting
Yeah.
pops up all
Yeah.
the time in the Bible.
Yeah.
And
There's
so
that passage in 1 Corinthians 7 that's very interesting to me. It's actually about like marriage relations and stuff. And be like if you're planning a time of being apart,
not having sex,
sexually,
just put that
it's
where
like,
it is.
Yeah, but it's talking about there's fasting involved. Like it's a time of fasting, or whatever. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it's like people were doing this as married couples, like to
That's right.
for their souls.
Yeah, and it says, but he gives a time limit on that.
Yeah, that was my point. It's
Was it like
you gotta-
a few days?
Well, he just says it's a planned. Like
Yeah.
y'all have agreed.
Well, I
right?
think he actually put some days on it.
Does
And he
he?
says, then
I
come
don't-
back together.
I don't know if there's a set number of days.
You have to look.
Yeah, let's look it up.
It says for a time, maybe.
I think it's for a time.
But the emphasis is like short because it's like, hey, man, the devil's going to get in there and get you
Yep.
if you do it too long.
Do not deprive one another except when you agree for a time. Yeah, to devote yourself to prayer. Then come together again. And there's like
Yeah.
it's a variant, fasting and prayer.
Yeah.
But they go with the shorter one because that's what you do. in
Yeah, so
variants.
you start getting hungry for each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not a bad thing.
That's right. It might be a good thing. Yep.
Don't deprive one another
Yep.
is like, man, we should have marriage conferences on that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Well, I'm sure
golly.
people do.
It really is. It's like one of the biggest issues, I think, out there in modern Christianity, at least. I don't know if it's always been like this. Probably not, but like it's
I think so.
Yeah,
It's probably always been this way.
It's-
People get sick of each other and don't don't think about serving each other sexually.
Yeah.
Which is what you're supposed to be doing.
He says,
and
both
for
of y'all,
mutual enjoyment. Yeah.
Both of y'all don't have the rights over your own bodies.
No.
Your spouse does.
No.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, if you're not in the mood and your spouse is, you'd be like, all right, and
Yeah.
take care of business, man.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Be nice.
Be nice to each other.
Yeah.
The only one you got.
That's the only one, man.
So he's the only one you got.
Yeah.
Your wife don't
Y'all are in it
get to
together,
your
man.
wife don't get to grab anybody else's biceps, buddy. Don't be depriving her.
That's right, man.
Flex for her every once in a while.
Yeah.
Hey,
Steph,
baby,
if you're
look at
watching, this is for you.
Oh, yeah. That's right, man.
All right. Well, I think that's pretty good. We got started on,
I'm
on
gonna go to
numbers.
the house.
Yeah, I gotta go home. I gotta go show Steph my biceps.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's why I don't skip leg day.
Yeah, I do. I skip leg day all the time. I don't care about leg day.
Oh, there's one more thing we got to talk about on this. It's huge.
Okay, the
So at
priestly blessing.
Yes,
Yeah,
man.
this is what we say every week.
Yeah. Yeah, at the end of this interesting Nazarite vow,
that. Yeah.
out of nowhere,
Yeah.
the Aaronic blessing or the Aaronic benediction, or what did you call this thing?
Blessing.
Yeah. Is he was supposed to, commanded of God, to bless the people with it. And a lot of churches do this when they dismiss. The best ones do this.
That's right.
Am I wrong? I'm right.
You're right.
And he says, then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, speak to Aaron and to his sons, saying, thus you shall bless the sons of Israel. You shall say to them, the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up his countenance on you and give you peace. So they shall invoke my name on the sons of Israel, and I will bless them.
Yeah. This is the first church I've ever been to that did it.
Well, that's why we're the best.
I love it. We end every service, every church, every Sunday service with that blessing.
Yeah.
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 I memorized it.
It's a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
And, it seems to be, I think if you went to the temple and you offered sacrifice or what, before you left, after you'd offered your sacrifice, I think this was the point, that the priest was supposed to bless you with this benediction before you left.
Well, we do it after you've received the sacrifice of Christ in the Lord's Supper, don't we?
Oh, yeah. We should probably do a whole podcast on the Lord's Supper one day.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get some.
If we are weak anywhere as evangelicals, man, we are weak on the theology of
We've
the
gotten
Lord's
better
Supper.
as a church. Doing it every week.
Our church, yeah.
Doing it every week is brought to the forefront.
Did a sweep of evangelicalism as a whole.
They don't know what it is.
No.
Majorly.
They don't know why we do it.
Because they do it once a year or something. A lot of times, like once a quarter. Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah,
and I've heard people say we don't do it often because we don't want it to become meaningless. And I'm like, what?
You just did. You accomplished it.
Yeah,
by not doing it often.
Yes,
yeah,
I know. I know.
Yeah.
It's really really strange. Nobody knows what's happening in it. We're so scared of sacramentalism that we've sort of made it lousy.
Yeah, that's true.
It's, man. Maybe there's some Greek Orthodox out there maybe that listens to our podcast and goes, oh, he's not far from the kingdom.
Well, we do the Lord's Supper every week, pal.
Every week.
We're good Baptists. Good little Baptist boys.
Yeah, we like to give the Lord's Supper. We offer a cross to people every Sunday.
Every single week, man.
And I like it whenever I talk about being the body, a broken body in the shed blood of our Lord. And people are like, he does mean it's a symbol, right?
Yeah. No one actually in our churches.
No, but that's what people are hasty to do that. It's like, well, it's not actually the body and blood of Jesus.
Dude,
man, quit doing that.
Quit doing that.
Quit doing that.
Jesus said it was.
We don't. Here's the deal. Let's be honest. Oh man, if we do have an Orthodox listener, he's going to be so excited about me today. We actually don't know what's happening.
You don't have a clue.
Is Jesus present when you preach the word?
Yeah.
Yes. He's also there when you offer the broken bread and cup. He's there somehow. I don't know how it works. Yeah. I don't care. I mean, I care that it works. I just don't have to know how it works.
Yeah, it's not like you have a passage describing the spiritual mechanism involved and like how he's giving you grace, and sustaining grace.
Here's the problem, man. When you try to drill down and get really specific on any of the big mysteries of Christianity.
Yeah.
I'm talking about triune God,
the gift of faith.
The gift of faith, the issue of Christ being truly God and truly man, how he exists in a hypostasis, what happens during the Lord's Supper, what happens during baptism, what happens during the preaching of God's word. If you try to take the mystery out of the mystery, heretic.
Yeah.
You're going to wind up a heretic, man.
Yeah, it's problems. It's problematic.
Some stuff just works. You don't have to understand it. It's okay.
Yeah. Yep, there's mystery involved. That's what sacrament means. It's
That's
mystery. Right. Yeah. All right, everyone. Thank you all so much for listening to the podcast today. We're going to continue in Numbers next week. We'll see you then.
See ya.